going to start with is a quiz. And I'd like to go ahead and ask you guys, we've been talking a lot about content. And what I want to see is if you guys are getting educated on what stage of the buying funnel content is for. And so my first piece of content, what I want you to do is I want you to watch this piece of content and listen to it and tell me, is this top, middle, or bottom of the funnel? Okay, well, all right, the sound will not come out. And it's not the same without the sound. Anyways, we'll move on. It's a great video. I encourage all of you to watch it. It is the Eloqua online video holiday card. And it is edutaining. So it actually tells the story of what modern marketing is while it entertains the viewer. So what would you all say that piece of content is? Top of the funnel, awareness. Middle of the funnel, consideration. Bottom of the funnel, validation. Top. That was a layup for you guys. Come on. That was easy. All right. Another piece of content that I'd like to share with you. Again, same top, middle, bottom. This is the businesscenter.eloqua.com site. At this site, you can build an RFP, request for proposal. I think all of you know what that stands for. ROI. There was a new ROI definition I heard on the way here. I was listening to a podcast of Jeffrey Hazlett, the former CMO of Kodak, and he was being interviewed by Kurt Shaver, who is a thought leader in social selling. And ROI for social media, a lot of executives are saying, what's the ROI on social media? And they've redefined ROI not to be return on investment, but return on ignoring. So what's the return on ignoring social as a channel to communicate with your buyers? You can do a calculator to figure out what the return on investment is here. The video blog and some resources. So top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. Bottom, right. They're really starting to say, okay, I need to be able to create more quality leads for sales. I need to be able to align my marketing and sales organization. I need to be able to personalize and target and segment my database. Okay, I get that. I need to be able to measure the return on the investment of my marketing spend. I get that. Now, who is going to help me solve the problem? And how can I get the budget to solve the problem? And so this helps you actually do that. Another piece of content. So the Eloqua Grande guides, and I'm using Eloqua as my case study. What is the Grande guide? So Eloqua has published 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 Grande guides. Grande guide to B2B blogging. Believe it or not, Eloqua's platform does not include a blogging platform. The Grande guide to community management. Eloqua's platform is not a community management platform. Grande guide to personal branding. This is not a personal branding platform. So, with me leading the witness, what stage of the funnel is this content? Top of the funnel. Gosh, you guys are smart. Okay, here we go. One more. Actually, a couple more. One-stop shop to seeing Eloqua's product in action. You can sign up to see a demo of the social suite, sign up to see a demo of our app cloud, building campaigns. So this is very product specific. And really, I was having this conversation at lunch. Yes, we need to create thought leadership content. Yes, we need to create content that relates to the customer's business problems. But at some point, if you don't tell them about your product and how your product can solve the problem, how are you going to make a sale? So product-related content isn't dead. It's just better for a later stage in the buying process. So with that being said, What stage of the buying process is this content for? Middle, because before they're ready to say, okay, now I've seen the Eloqua product, I've compared it to all the other vendors, they need to see the product. So this is real middle of the funnel. And then we had a nice little debate at lunch, or conversation, I should say, about blogs. How many in the room have a blog? Yeah. And what I've seen from some of the best blogs is that the blog itself is a channel, but the content within the blog is varied. And some of the content is going to capture top of the funnel interest because it's going to be more thought leadership post. Some of the content is going to be middle of the funnel because it's going to actually talk about a new feature to your product, a product release. And some of it's going to be more later stage in the funnel around calming the fear of the buyer of how they can be successful deploying your technology. So the blog is what stage of the funnel content? Woo! All. That's right. Good. You guys are listening. All of them. One last, and this is going to lead me to bottom of the funnel content. Believe it or not, I have a method to my madness. As I'm going through with the buyer, and the buyer is, okay, I've got a problem. Okay, you can solve it. I want to go deeper into these certain areas of how you can specifically solve my problem. For me as a sales rep, I actually leverage our online community extensively. So we have what's called Topliners community, and we have over 7,500 members on our Topliners community, and we've laid it out so that there's content around imagine, see it, do it, code it, and know it. And so we've categorized the discussions and the types of content into these major categories. And so when a buyer asks me about email deliverability, Eloqua's platform has an email engine, and they want to know about email deliverability, I go into our Topliners community, and I grab the post on email deliverability briefcase, and I send my buyer to this post. It has information about deliverability management, the various packages that we offer, tutorials, playbooks, IP warming guides, integrated email testing tools. So what I'm hoping the buyer sees by sending them this post is not just answering the question around what are our capabilities as it relates to email deliverability, but it's also the fact that Eloqua doesn't just have great technology, that we have marketing expertise, that we have best practices, that we have a community of customers who care and collaborate and drink cocktails together too. So this is more of that bottom of the funnel content that sales rep can leverage. And a lot of times, really the problem with salespeople, well, let's not go there. One of the issues that salespeople have is they don't know that the content exists, or they don't know where to find it, or they don't know how to use it. Because salespeople weren't traditionally the information concierge. They weren't traditionally a content connoisseur. They weren't traditionally a mini marketer. And now, with the shift in the buying process, the sales rep is expected to be something very different than he was before. All right, so closing deals, how to use content at the bottom of the funnel. We talked about a little bit of what traditional selling is. The role of marketing used to be to drive awareness of the solution, and marketing used to do that in very few channels. I remember 12 years ago when I was a sales rep at Salesforce.com, when I would walk through an overview of the Salesforce automation, and I would click on the Leads tab, I would define a lead as a business card that you got at a trade show. Today, if you go to a trade show and you bring back leads, business cards, and send them to your salespeople and tell your salespeople these are leads, your salespeople are going to say that your leads suck. Because they do, because they're not leads. They're names. They're business cards. They're what you got at a trade show because someone wanted your t-shirt. Not necessarily because they're ready to buy. So, fast forward to the modern world of marketing, you get those business cards, you load them into your marketing automation database. Your marketing automation database knows whether you know them already, and it synchronizes with your CRM system so you know if they're in the buying process, if they're already a customer, if they're a partner, if they're a competitor, and you use technology to then deliver the right content to the right person in the right channel based on who they are. And so today, the call to action isn't to send these business cards to your salespeople. It's to actually nurture and score and develop these names before passing them to sales. In the old days, before the internet, it's really been the birth of the internet that has changed the access to information that the buyer has. If the buyer wanted to buy a database, the buyer had to call Oracle. Now, if the buyer needs to buy a database, the buyer goes and does a Google search. The buyer goes and searches social networks. The buyer goes and reads blog posts. The buyer listens to a podcast, downloads a white paper, attends an event. The buyer now goes to the web for information. And I think you've heard this stat already, that the buyers are 57% through the buying process before they ever talk to sales. And so the good news and the bad news, the good news is that marketing, your job has gotten increasingly more complicated. And you are managing 57% of the initial buying process before they ever talk to sales. And the bad news is that marketing professionals are not getting paid what you deserve. And that is one of my soapboxes, and something that we can work together to change. So really, we've talked about the purchasing decision, that they're online and they're researching. And guess who's creating those podcasts? Guess who's creating those webinars? Guess who's creating those ebooks? Guess who's creating those videos? Guess who's managing the blog? Guess who's managing the social channels? Guess who's still creating the product data sheets? Guess who's working with the analysts for third-party validation information? And guess who has to manage all of those pieces of content across all of the various channels where your buyers are? Marketing. Your job is hard. Really hard. So in terms of marketing now creating all of this new, edutaining, compelling content aligned to the buyer's journey, aligned to the buyer persona, sales needs to understand more of what marketing is doing. And I think sales and marketing need to work together to actually define that buying process. And again, for a company like Oracle, the number of products, the number of solutions, the number of vertical industry specific, there's a lot of mapping of a lot of different buying processes and a lot of different buyer personas, and it can get very complicated. And so you need something like Compose to manage all that content. So, enter the Challenger sale. Who in the room has heard of the Challenger sale? Good amount. This is a phenomenal book. And the authors, Matt Dixon and Brent Adamson, before I had read the book, they interviewed me. And I'm addicted to social media. I'm an addict of social networking. Some addicts are hooked on caffeine. Some are hooked on food. Some are hooked on cigarettes. But I'm a social networking addict, and I'm hooked on likes, and I'm hooked on tweets. I'm hooked on favorites. I'm hooked on shares. I'm hooked on comments. And I'm hooked on those things not because it's a popularity contest, because we all know I'll win that. Just kidding. Seriously, it's not because it's a popularity contest. It's because I'm getting validation that the information that I'm sharing is of value. That's the modern sales professional. The modern sales professional isn't trying to sell anything. The modern sales professional is trying to help people buy. And helping people buy means helping them get educated and aware of their business problem, the solutions to their business problem, and why you are uniquely qualified to solve their business problem. And so enter the Challenger Sale. The Challenger Sale, and this is a book all sales professionals need to read, and on top of that, marketing needs to read this, because this is where sales needs to change their behavior, but we need help from marketing with different kinds of messaging and different kinds of content. And so the modern sales professional teaches the customer something new and of value. So I am where my customer is. I am here at this event. Yesterday, I was at the DMA luncheon, and where Clara from Hearsay Social and the CMO of Fireman's Fund talked about using social and digital. So I'm where my buyers are offline. I'm where my buyers are online. I'm reading content, Chief Content Officer magazine. Write it down, Chief Content Officer magazine. You can find it on Content Marketing Institute's website, CMI, phenomenal. I'm reading Demand Gen Report. I'm going to Content to Conversion, their conference in New York in April. I'm reading best practices on email marketing. I subscribe to B2B Online. I read all of these pieces of information, all of these articles that are relevant to my buyer, and I share those articles across my social networks. And that way, I'm teaching, not selling. So, great Challenger sales professionals are teaching insights to the buyer that they don't already know. It could be a business insight. It could be a unique way to solve the problem. And so the Challenger Sale, I highly encourage it. You can even just Google it, and you can get a pretty good synopsis of the book and what it's all about. But teach where your customers are, don't sell. Mentioned this a little bit at lunch, too. It used to be that people buy from people they like. They actually buy today from people they trust. And they're influenced by people they trust. So I've adopted what I call the social surround strategy. I don't just want to be socially connected to my buyer, and really it's buyers because it's a buying committee. I want to be socially connected to their sphere of influence. So if they're a customer of Gartner or IDC or Serious Decisions or Forrester or ITSMA or Aberdeen or whatever other analyst groups there are. I want to be connected to those analysts because those are influencers to my buyer. So I'm not just socially surrounding my buyer, I'm socially surrounding the sphere of influence because buyers are influenced by people they trust. And usually the people they trust are in their social networks. And so for me, I am not thinking of, I hate the word prospect. It feels so dirty. Like, ooh, I'm going to go get me some prospects tonight. Yeah. No, I have retrained my brain to say, this is a future advocate. This person is an aspiring Eloquine. This person is an aspiring Eloking. And what does this person need to know based on what stage in the buying process he or she is at to get to that state, that end state of Eloquine or kingness? And so I think of that buyer as a future advocate of marketing automation, of Eloqua, and of me, Jill Rowley. And the way that that happens is through content. Content is king, context is queen, and so your sales professionals need to know what kind of content they should share based on where that buyer is in their buying process. And that really is the job of content marketing. It's not just doing this for content or for marketing's sake, it's also doing it for sales' sake. And so let's talk about a few examples of using content to help someone buy. Has anyone in this room bought Eloqua marketing automation software from me? Raise your hand. Thank you for the commission. Was there content that I shared along the way that helped you make a purchase decision? Yes. What kind of content, Megan? So the security team was concerned about, is our system scalable? Because the prior system wasn't. Is our system secure? And we had content ready to share with the security team. Yeah, I remember your chief security officer, female, girl power. So content, it's knowing where that content is as a sales professional and knowing how to use it and knowing when to use it. Know when to hold them. All right, guys, it's late in the day. I need some smiles and some energy in this room. You guys are marketers. Come on. So content at the bottom of the funnel. It's marketing is providing the content that makes the salespeople look like thought leaders, and it's materials that salespeople can distribute very easily to the buyer at the various channels. In terms of conventional thinking, this is going to be a fun little discussion, I think. Conventional thinking is that top of the funnel, you have ebooks, you have blogs, you have articles, and like I showed you, the grande guide, top of the funnel, the blog, it's all stages. Bottom of the funnel, the old way of thinking is that the bottom of the funnel, you use case studies and video testimonials, and you set up reference calls. And I believe that the old way, and this is a buying process thing too, I think we're all kind of stuck in the old way of it. You get to the end of your decision, and you ask each vendor for 3 references. When you call the 3 references of the selected vendor, because you've really made your decision at this point, you're calling those 3 references to reinforce that you made the right decision. When you call the 3 references of the vendor you didn't select, you're calling those references to validate that you made the right decision. So references used at the end of the buying process, I actually think we need to bring customer advocacy and customer stories to the beginning of the buyer's journey. Because the buyer needs to be able to relate to someone who's done it. Someone who's done it who looks like them. Big, massive, global organization with lots of process and politics. Mid-size, agile company with lots of agile marketing process and innovative and wants to try Pinterest as an example. Megan. She was using the Pinterest functionality of Eloqua before our developers finished coding it. She's that modern of a marketer. So one of my things is, if you agree with me that people buy from people they trust and they're influenced by people they trust, why not bring that customer advocacy and those customer stories to the beginning of the buying process to create an emotional connection and a human connection to the ultimate view of the desired end state? If you want to debate it, I'm here for cocktails. So, in closing, I wanted to just summarize what I think a modern sales professional is. The modern sales professional is an insights professional. She's teaching the buyer something he doesn't already know. She's socially connected. She's where her buyers are. And guess what? If her buyers aren't on Twitter, then she shouldn't be on Twitter necessarily for business. If her buyers aren't on Facebook, and it would be creepy to friend the buyer on Facebook, then she shouldn't friend the buyer on Facebook. Be where the buyers are. Be where their influencers are. Be socially connected. That's the modern sales professional. The modern sales professional has a personal brand. She's a thought leader. And that's because of what you guys create for her. You're creating compelling content that edutains the buyer. That's the modern sales professional. She's an information concierge. She's like, you go to the hotel, you want a restaurant, you want Italian, you want mid-level price. Same thing with the sales rep. You need to have information about email deliverability. You need to understand it from a technical perspective. You need to understand it from an ROI perspective. She needs to be able to gather that piece of content and serve it up to the buyer. So she's an information concierge. She's providing the right information to the right time, to the right person at the right time, on the right channel. She's a content connoisseur. If you guys are creating content and your salespeople don't know about it, shame on you. You have no one to blame but yourself if your salespeople are not using your content. Promote your content. Teach your salespeople where they can find the content. She's a challenger. She makes her clients think differently. She brings customer advocate stories to the front of the buying process. And she really is a mini marketer. And does anyone in the room, in the traditional sales sense, know what ABC stands for? What's ABC stand for? Always be closing. The modern sales professional says ABC means always be connecting. Because the connections lead to the close. So, if you guys want to connect with me, I would be delighted. Write something creative and crafty in your LinkedIn invite. If you've sent it on your mobile device while I was speaking, I have the list of folks who are here, so I will accept the invite. But please, let's connect. Let's share content and cocktails later. Thank you.